Welcome to Food Chains. Food chains show how energy flows through an ecosystem. We know energy starts with the sun and it travels to producers and consumers. And when those living things, those living producers and consumers die, decomposers break down those dead organisms and add nutrients back to the soil so we can grow more producers. Let's go ahead and check out an example of a food chain so we can see that ecosystem energy flow. We can see the energy goes from the sun to our flower producer, then the mouse eats that flower and gets energy, and the snake eats the mouse and gets energy. And when those consumers and producers die, the decomposers are there to break down those dead organisms. Today we're going to use these cards to make some food chains and see how energy flows through an ecosystem. What is our energy source? Where does all our energy begin? That's right, the sun! The sun is where we get all of our energy. We know that the sun is an abiotic factor. Abiotic factors are the parts important to the food chain, but are not alive and have never been alive. Abiotic factors include sunlight, air, water, and the parts of soil that have never lived, like rocks. These factors are always present in any food chain or food web. However, the only abiotic factor that is providing us energy is the sun. So we're ready for the sun to provide its energy to its first organism. How do we show on a food chain the flow of energy?
Arrows show energy flow.
Not quite sure what happened to my voice right there, but I'm pretty sure I said arrows show energy flow. That energy is going to go from the sun to a producer, which is a plant. It makes its own food through photosynthesis. And in this example, we're going to use algae. Algae is a producer that grows in fresh water. Most animals that eat plants will eat the pond algae, like ducks, fish, and insects. Algae is actually the name of a group. There are many different types of algae. The algae is ready to give its energy to a consumer. How are we going to do that?
Arrows show energy flow.
All right, that arrows show energy flow thing happened again. I think that's just a thing in this video. Let's go with it. The energy from that algae is going to go to a mosquito. The mosquito is a consumer. It eats to live. And actually 3 of the 4 mosquito life stages are spent in water. So mosquitoes feed on algae and nectar of flowering plants, and the females will bite animals and humans in search of blood to nourish her eggs. Ooh, parasitism. Mosquitoes, adult and larvae, are prey to many birds, bluegill, and catfish. Okay, it's time for the mosquito to give its energy to the next consumer, so you know what's coming.
Arrows show energy flow.
The mosquito's energy went to a bluegill. Bluegill live in fresh water like ponds, rivers, and lakes. Bluegills will eat zooplankton, insect larvae, crayfish, leeches, snails, and small fish. Larger fish, birds, turtles, and humans eat bluegill. So let's check out where the bluegill's energy is going.
Arrows show energy flow.
The great blue heron ate the bluegill and has got that energy. Great blue heron live near marshy areas, wetlands, swamps, or ponds. They eat fish, amphibians, reptiles, insects, and birds. Crows, ravens, eagles, raccoons, bears, turkey vultures, and red-tailed hawks prey mostly on the young great blue heron chicks. Now what happens to our dead algae, mosquito, bluegill, and great blue heron? Where does their energy go?
Arrows show energy flow.
The dead organism's energy goes to a decomposer. In this case, it's pond bacteria. Pond bacteria are microscopic decomposers. Bacteria feed on dead plants and animals. As bacteria decompose organic matter, they use the oxygen and release carbon dioxide into the air or water where they are living. If there are a lot of bacteria in the water, the oxygen level in the water will drop. Organisms that use oxygen from the water, fish, mussels, and other gilled organisms, will not be able to breathe. Here is our completed food chain. I can see energy going from the sun to the producer, which is algae, to our first level consumer, the mosquito. Then energy travels to our second level consumer, the bluegill, and finally to our third level consumer, the great blue heron. Remember, those consumers, the mosquito, bluegill, and great blue heron, are all consumers. They have mouths and they eat to live. The dead plants and animals will be broken down by the pond bacteria, which is our decomposer. This is just one example of energy flow in an ecosystem. Here's another set of cards. Let's build another food chain. Where does all the energy come from? What is the source? The sun. The sun provides all of our energy. So there are those abiotic factors which the sun is part of. Remember, the sun is the only one that is providing energy though. To show that sun's energy going to the producer, we have
Arrows show energy flow.
I think the direction of the arrow matters. It does. Maybe you should say something about that then. Okay. Arrows show the direction of energy flow. Okay, those words don't flow as well, but I think you definitely need to show that the arrow is showing where the energy is going from and where it's going to. So in this example, I can see it's going to the duckweed, our producer. Energy is going from the sun to the duckweed. All right, so what is going to eat the duckweed to get the duckweed's energy? I can't wait to see it after I find out about arrows show the direction of energy flow. The mallard duck ate the duckweed. Now, just so you know, duckweed is a producer that can grow in shade or sun in a warm, wet environment with slow-moving water. Ducks are not the only thing that eat duckweed. Ducks are actually omnivores, and they eat water plants, small fish, insects, worms, and grubs. They can live in or near fresh water or salt water. So our duck is our first level consumer. Before we can see our second level consumer, we need our arrows show the direction of energy flow. Our second level consumer is the snapping turtle. The snapping turtle got its energy from the duck. And snapping turtles live in fresh water and typically like slow rivers, lakes, and marshland. Snapping turtles are considered omnivores because they will eat anything. They usually eat fish, birds, and frogs. How can I see the snapping turtle's energy going to a third level consumer? Arrows show the direction of energy flow. The raccoon got the energy by eating the snapping turtle. Raccoons are omnivores and eat fruit, nuts, seeds, plants, bird eggs, fish, frogs, crayfish, frogs, trash, just about anything. They can also be prey for bobcats, coyotes, owls, wolves, and can be removed from areas by humans. When our producers and consumers die, what breaks down those dead organisms? Oh wait, before I ask that question, what do I need to see? Arrows show the direction of energy flow. Once again, we have that pond bacteria that is a decomposer. It's breaking down those dead organisms. As you can see in both of our food chains, energy is flowing from the sun to a producer and then to consumers. Decomposers break down the dead organisms. We can see energy flowing through ecosystems by arrows show the direction of energy flow. Now that you have seen some examples of food chains and energy flowing through them, you are going to make your own food chain. Have fun, take care, peace.